Hey, what's up, everybody? We have a new YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe right now. Leave a comment on the video. Share it with your friends. It's also a podcast, 3 and Out, wherever you listen with me, John Middlekauff, Apple, Spotify. We have you covered, as well as thevolume.com. We have merch. Check out. I got 3 and Out hats right now. Thevolume.com. Search the podcast. Buy some merch. I said last week, in terms of the pressure rankings, I didn't even think it was close. John Harbaugh already has a ring. Lamar Jackson's in like the prime of his career under contract for the foreseeable future. Yes, if they were to lose on Sunday at home, that would suck. Or they make the Super Bowl and they don't win, that would suck. But those guys are so ingrained and entrenched in the organization. Like, let's face it. You can't ask, well, can John Harbaugh ever win the big one? It's like, yeah, he did, 2012. One of the things with Kyle Shanahan, and you could feel it watching that game on Saturday night, you're like, he's really going to blow it at home as an enormous favorite against a team who's about to fire their defensive coordinator. He's playing Joe Barry in a chess match. That guy is going to be relieved of his duties Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Turns out it was Wednesday. But he's holding on for dear life for his job. And he's coming down the home stretch. And the Purdy thing is, I've defended him, and I will continue to defend him. He's a really good player. But that was an alarming experience. Now, if it doesn't rain, we should get a better version of him. And he's playing the Lions, who, let's face it, their pass defense sucks. Their corners are not good. So if Aiden Hutchinson, if you just block him, like some of these teams have, they just like leave him unblocked. I don't know what you think the number 2 pick in the draft that's 6'7" and an elite pass rusher. I probably want to get a hat on a hat there. To me, the 49ers should win this game. Now, I would bet the farm if you told me Debo was 100% healthy. I'd be like, I think the 49ers are scoring 40+ in this game. With Debo being very much up in the air, and it's hard to tell they're being mum about it. If he broke his shoulder again, and they're trying to shoot it up and play through the pain, who knows? Maybe he plays a play and gets tackled and then he's out. So I think he is a big swing guy. Clearly, when he's on the field and it's not raining, this offense is dominant. It's elite. The only time they struggled with him on the field this season was against the Baltimore Ravens, who, like we said, I think is the best defense in the league with the best defensive coordinator. But the pressure on Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, like I am not some Brock Purdy hater. I've said all along, he was excellent this season. You can't watch him and go, that's a big-time quarterback. The way he played throughout the regular season. If you've watched the 49ers during their run of all these teams making runs to the championship game, he is easily the best version of any quarterback they've had. And it's not even close. Like, he is dramatically better than the best version of Jimmy, which wasn't bad. But, like, you don't play well in this environment when all these people are watching. The overreaction is going to lean negative. And this notion that, like, it's just a narrative that's out there. We've seen Kyle replace quarterbacks. We've seen him do it constantly, even with the 49ers. We've been talking about this all week. Got rid of Jimmy, then got rid of Trey. Even told Brock Purdy last year, like, hey, man, might get Tom Brady. If he can come out of retirement, you'll be his backup. He's ruthless. He's cutthroat. This is the National Football League. Walsh, Parcells, Belichick. These guys are kind of ruthless. Hell, Sneaky Andy's pretty good at that too. He just kind of has a smile on his face. He's gotten rid of a lot of guys over the years. And like this notion that like this guy is a lock to be the quarterback for the next 10 years, how could you say that? Now, if he plays well in this game and then they win the Super Bowl, like it's not like they're giving him a contract extension after the second year. They're not even allowed to do that. So you could feel, I'm telling you, I've been watching this team for so long. It wasn't even just I couldn't believe they were going to lose. It was you could feel this pressure on the offense and the quarterback every single snap of that game on Saturday. Now, one of his defining characteristics, like think about the other quarterbacks that are currently playing, the other 3 guys. Jared Goff was the number 1 pick in the fucking draft. The number 1 pick in the draft. He's one of like 5 quarterbacks to ever take multiple franchises to the conference championship. That includes like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Brett Favre. I mean, it's a pretty good list. Kurt Warner. A lot of guys wearing gold jackets in that list. So Jared Goff has had some low moments, but he's had a pretty freaking good career. Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest athletes any sport we've ever seen, any position. And Lamar Jackson has proven like, yeah, I am an all-time great. and definitely has the opportunity to kind of solidify that these next couple games. Then you got pick 262 that like physically isn't anywhere near these guys, right? Has the weakest arm of the bunch. Now he's a better athlete than Jared Goff, but he really hangs his hat on intangibles, anticipation, stuff that matters at quarterback. No, there was a play Baldinger tweeted out I saw in my timeline how he checked to a run on the long Christian McCaffrey. He flipped the play, the Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Like Purdy brings a lot to the table, right? And he made some big throws on that final drive, which they ultimately won. And the point of the game is to win, right? Survive in advance. But there was a reason there was so much negativity after that game, right? There wasn't negativity around the Ravens after they scored 24 unanswered in the second half and beat the shit out of the Texans, right? There was around the 49ers because it felt like they were going to lose that game 95% of it. Now, moving forward, like you beat the Lions by a couple touchdowns, it all gets forgotten. You're going to the Super Bowl. And then it becomes, can you get revenge on the Ravens or can you take down the champs who took you down 5-6 years ago in the last Super Bowl that you guys played each other? So the pressure on this team, like if you just did the pressure rankings, and listen, it's a conference championship game. You're never guaranteed to come back unless you're the Chiefs. You go every year. But the Ravens, the Niners, and the Lions, who freaking knows? There's pressure on you. But I think Kyle and Brock Purdy are in their own category, and rightfully so. Like, I don't even think that's really debatable. Then to me, next would be Harbaugh and Lamar. But like I said, it's what's going to happen. Like, it would be disappointing, but I think you feel pretty good about your chances next year. You could argue the Lions have more pressure than the Chiefs. It's like, well, where are they going? Until it's verified that Andy Reid is retiring, I am not banking on him leaving. And as long as you got Andy and Patrick Mahomes, and I'll promise you this, their offense is going to be better next year. Like, they'll be back. The Lions, like, let's face it, last time they got to a championship, it's like, we're going to get a really good team. We're going to be around. I remember watching the Barry Sanders documentary. He even said it. He's like, we're going to be good. Then they weren't, and they sucked, and they fell apart, and coaches got fired. And they didn't make it back to this game for 30-plus years. The Cowboys are like, God, are we the longest streak since at 2.5 decades? So I would probably have the Lions third, but it's weird because they could lose this game 40-0, and it would suck. I'm acknowledging that if you're a Lions fan. It's still been probably the most incredible season of the majority of people listening's life, right? So I think that the tangible pressure on this Niner team to take care of business, especially if it's not raining, whether Debo plays or not, you got a lot invested in that defensive line. And the one reason the 49ers used to beat Sean McVay every single time they played, when they were good and when they were bad, up until the conference championship game, which I think they would trade all those wins for that win. But regardless, was because now the Rams, beside Whitworth, their offensive line was always kind of questionable. And the Niners used to eat it alive. And Jared Goff can't run, right? He's very old school. He's Eli, Phillip Rivers. He's of that mold, which I still have a soft spot for, though that type player is kind of disappearing throughout football. Like, you watch college football, hell, you just Google like rival, watch some top 10 quarterbacks on rivals. They don't really play like that anymore. But if Jared Goff's untouched, like, he can really make you pay, especially the weapons they have. Assuming Laporta is going to play, Laporta, both the running backs can catch. St. Brown is a fucking baller. Jameson Williams can just stretch your defense. So you got to hit him. And when you hit him, historically, and I saw Sherman said this, he's like, I've seen the guy fold. Now, I think Jared Goff is mentally tougher now than he was 5 or 6 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I also think he's playing in front of a much better offensive line. So it's harder to hit him. And if Nick Bosa is not dominating the game, like, Chase Young, where are you? Do you exist? Like, who's going to pay that guy? Eric Armstead. Like, needs something, paying you $15 million a year. I know you're banged up. Hargrave, you're making $20 million a year. A lot of cash invested into those cats up front. And they need plays. And if they hit Jared Goff, the Lions have no chance. If they're not touching him, and Debo's not playing, game get weird, and the game get weird fast. Because the Lions got a bunch of good players. Obviously, you don't make it this far without having high-end talent. And I think the scary thing is, big picture is like, they got a lot of young high-end talent. Like, I don't think the Lions are going anywhere.